for the week group that tunes in on Monday nights. And Ben took the cake. First place for the year with 2 picks, right? So average between the 2 picks. And, I took a humble second. I'm pretty sure something around there. And so we're excited to talk about
pretty close. We were neck and neck all year.
Neck and neck. Why our picks last year worked, what we're picking for this year. No financial advice. We don't make endorsements, recommendations, specific stocks or strategies on these shows. Find that elsewhere, but we are going to talk through our thoughts. So Ben, welcome. Rhett, welcome. Let's talk about it. Ben, why don't you kick us off with a little bit of recap of this past year of your trading?
Sure. Well, past year, the trading was incredible. I mean, we had a 667% year in 2025. Honestly, it could have been much, much better, as Rhett can attest to, and there's a lot of people in our community who did much better than me. I'm pretty good at making predictions where stocks are going, but my intraday trading, I always mess up. I get emotional, I get shaken out, but man, I'm so good with those price targets and predictions. So had a great year. The 2 picks we picked on Wolf were Root and ASTS. And interesting with Root, it ended up flat for the year, up 0.19%. The first half of the year was up 80, 90%. It just shit the bed in the second half of the year. But despite that, won that competition with ASTS. It was up 245%, 244% in 2025, giving us an average of 122% between the 2 picks. And you were right behind me there with Berkshire Hathaway and Robinhood at 107%. So that was the 2025 wrap. But we also had another competition with just the second half of 2025, and we're neck and neck again. This time you beat me on the second half with Palantir and Google at 52%, and I came in second at 48%, again with ASTS and Airtest Systems, AEHR. So that was a recap for 2025.
Very nice. Very nice. Rhett, any insights from you from 2025?
Yeah, I mean, ASTS is still my longest and my biggest holding in my retirement account, and I'm still continuing, and it's continuing to swing it into 2026 as my largest holding going forward. I think this name will continue to play out in the years coming. I'm excited to see what ASTS has in store with us for all these catalysts that are upcoming.
Yeah, rough day today, but still up 44% on the year, so not too shabby. Yeah, the market has been super interesting. I guess before we go into the picks for 2026, so just a little bit of thoughts on this market this year. Last year was question, is the Mag 7 going to continue to run? Is that the area to be in? And, they did all right. But this year, I believe that 5 out of 7 are red to start the year at this point. And it seems like a lot of money has shifted over to metals, certainly. A lot of stuff in that area. The space thematic has been working very well as well. Crypto's a bit down. And then I think that you have a lot of people that are kind of getting their interest piqued by energy and power and things along those lines. So, Ben, what are you looking at first before you go into your picks? What are the general thematics for 2026? What's your approach and thought process?
Yeah, definitely want to talk about that first. Look, I think there's going to be continued opportunity in 2026, but honestly, throughout Trump's entire term, I think Trump is creating so many opportunities by just shaking up, where money's flowing, right, with policy. And that's really great for our process because we start with the catalyst. I would say probably from what I see, it looks to me like 90% of FinTwit is all about price action, right? They're reacting to the chart or they're reacting to money flow and options flow. And at StoryTrading, I look at that last. I actually look at the catalyst first. So, I mean, I'd love to dive in deeper into my philosophy. I could talk about it for a long, long time, but if you want, I can dive into my philosophy a little bit about why I created StoryTrading and why we think it works better than technical trading.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you've always talked about connecting the story, kind of the 3 pillars there. You want to go over that real quick?
The 4 pillars, yeah. So the 4 pillars are catalyst, sentiment, fundamentals, and technical. So I always start with catalyst because I come from the perspective that the market's efficient, right? So the price of the stock is including all the information in the market at any one given time. So if you're looking for a delta in price, you need a delta of information. So that delta of information is the catalyst. So when that catalyst comes, that's my starting point to take that catalyst and say, okay, what's the impact of that catalyst on fundamentals? What's the impact of the catalyst on sentiment? And if it's in a positive trajectory, I try to quantify that and then look at the chart, triangulate with the technicals to come up with a trade plan and price target for that. So, ultimately, what I'm trying to do is by looking at the four pillars: catalyst, sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals. I'm trying to understand the story behind the trade, right? I'm trying to understand why the market does what it does, why the price moves the way it does, because by looking at all four pillars, I'm considering all market participants. The market participants are basically made up of those four types of mindsets, right? Fundamentals: is a stock overvalued or undervalued? Headlines, catalysts, sentiment and trends and how people are feeling about certain sectors. That's sentiment, and then the technical. So those are the basically the entirety of market participants are made up of those four types of people. So if I consider all of those four things, I can understand what the market is about to do, right? So they like to call it kind of like just in time trading. So I get up like super early, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I put together my thoughts and my trade plan about what can re-rate today, right? So that 667% last year, a lot of that was, I try to choose like a top five or top three, sometimes just one pick of the day, where I think, hey, this catalyst is going to have a certain impact on sentiment and fundamentals, and the entire market, the net, not the entire market, but the net aggregate opinion of market participants is that there's going to be net demand to buy this stock, because I know what they're thinking. I'm trying to get into their heads, and I'm trying to front run what those guys are going to do today, and we'll jump in really quick in the morning, sometimes pre-market or right after the open, and we'll triangulate that with technicals, come up with the price target, and we'll get like big moves in one day, 20, 30, 40%. So that's my style. And I love talking about it because so many people disagree with me. Especially the technical traders, they're like, nah, like I knew that was coming just from the chart. Like everything's in the
Mm.
chart, man. Everything's in the chart. Like I hate those people, to be honest with you. Everything's in the chart, man. It's not in the freaking chart. There may be times where there's inside information, but if you pull back, and I love swing time frames too, because I really look for these inflection catalysts that can cause a rapid re-rating for more than just a day, right? A lot of the gains are in a day, but sometimes like Micron was my number one pick of the year in 2026. That was an inflection quarter where like you pull back on a chart and you can see like the sustained move over a long period. So you can't tell me that was priced in before that event. The thing that caused the sustained move after the event was that delta of information, that new information that came in. And there are times where there's some inside information, or you can see clues of inside information that's like built into the chart with money flow and options, but it's not always right. Um, so I think we're on the cutting edge. We're just on the tip, not the cutting edge might not be a word, but we're like on the tip of what causes prices to move. So therefore, we're ahead of the technical traders, right? I think the technicals is a lagging indicator, right? Because you're looking at the result of smart money buying a stock because there's been a change of information. Something new has happened in the world or with that company or whatever. So then you get this big money buying the stock, and that causes the technicals to look a certain way and start attracting people. But all those people are late to the game, right? A lot of times we're right in at the very, very bottom of a chart. So I'm not, we're like predicting what the technicals will do, because I'll recognize that certain catalysts will have a certain, positive impact on a stock. And the most powerful uh, returns for us are ones where I know the stock really well, or in combination, or in collaboration with people in our community, with Rhett and others in our community. We have that knowledge. We know the fundamentals. We understand the market psychology and the sentiment around the name. So when a catalyst comes, we can quickly make an assessment of, how is that net aggregate opinion going to be about this stock? Are people going to want to buy it or not? And we'll get in right at the low sometimes, or right at that inflection point. So we're not waiting for the technicals to tell us what to do. We are sometimes creating the technicals along with the other whales out there that see that delta of information and decide to buy the stock. So um, and that's really the premise of story trading, is that everything is efficient. There's a reason for everything. It's market's not chaotic, it's not inefficient, it's not up or down because of a bullshit reason. It's always down for a real valid reason, it's always up for a real valid reason. And if you understand all of those reasons that's causing the stock to move, you can do a better job of predicting what a stock will do when a catalyst comes in. So that's story trading in a nutshell.
Does that ideology hold true both in short and long term? Is there always a reason on a daily basis? Hey, always a good reason why the stock did this move up or downside, or is that more over a longer period of time?
No, I think it is true in both short and long-term periods. It's not true in like, in a 10-second chart or a 30-second chart where you have algos and trading and you have like, certain stocks that are linked to indices and ETFs that might be moving it throughout the day when there's like geopolitical headlines or whatever, just like random noise throughout the day. So that may not be related. But from on a daily chart perspective, absolutely. You can pull up any daily chart of any stock. And if you do enough research on it, you can find a tangible, understandable reason why the stock went down that day, why it went up that day, and also the general trend over like a multi-week period. There's always an understandable, identifiable reason for it. Sometimes it takes a lot of homework to find it, though.
Got it. Got it. Red, anything you would add on to what Ben just shared there?
No, I mean, I just would like to mention that when I first joined story trading, I was just a pure technical trader. So like when Ben was getting into a lot of these plays, I was like, oh, I don't really see what he's mentioning here. But then as it went on, I mean, understanding the story behind the trade, like Ben always says, I mean, you got to combine the catalyst, sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals, and when you combine all those together, you're able to like just in time trading, pretty much, so to speak.
Got it. Got it. Okay, makes sense. Good that we've laid out kind of the ideology. So let's talk about how you're applying that to this year's picks.
So can I share my screen here? I'll show
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Okay, so there's two things regarding picks. First, we have the competition with Wolf with you guys. So there's two stocks. We'll get to those two stocks in a bit, but there's a spreadsheet I created on Christmas Day actually, which I shared with our community, and we made it public. And these are hot sectors that I thought, sectors that would be hot for 2026. So it's not all of my top picks for 2026, not necessarily even the top picks of 2026. It's basically the top stocks I like in each of these hot sectors, right? Um, so for example, there's a Webull, which I've liked, which hasn't done well this year, but that's not in here because Webull's not part of a hot sector. So, but
Mm,
this list, these are the sectors I thought would do really well in 2026. And of course, you got to have AI in there. We divided it into AI infrastructure and AI software, drones and defense, which maybe we can call defense tech, space, which has done the best, in robotics. I only have two names in robotics, but a lot of the robotics names are like, part of these other ones as well. Sometimes they'll put these other names into robotics. But in any case, you can see here it was off to a really crazy start. And space took a big hit today, 10%. But I mean, these green, this stuff is ridiculous. I mean, SkyT got bought out today by IonQs. That's the best performer on the whole page, even before this buyout. This is a static list, okay? We do make changes, and I have made changes to this both in my personal trading and in our community. But this was meant for people who maybe don't want to trade and they just want to kind of hold stocks for the entire year. So we're just kind of leaving it, just like the competition we have with Wolf, right? Like these are my top picks for the year in each sector, and we're just going to leave this spreadsheet static here. But for example, SkyT, I sold completely out when it was like up 60%, and I put that in AEHR and a couple other names, the proceeds of that name. So, but what's crazy is MU was very clearly my number one pick of the year. Made that clear to my community. Really, since the earnings report, I was all over this name with a $500 price target. Um, but for the competition with the Wolf, I didn't put it in, which kills me, man.
yeah.
I initially put, like, you had that mistake with GDXC or however that happened. Like,
Yeah.
I actually initially put in into that competition, into the submission form, Micron, MU, and ASTS, which is doing great again. It's under space, up 44%, right? I initially put in Micron and ASTS, and then I have access to the because I actually built the form for you guys, so I had the ability to go in and change it. Other people really didn't, but I had the ability. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what, Micron and ASTS, that doesn't make me look too smart if they work out, because people are going to think I'm just like picking the 2025 winners or something. Like,
Mm,
where's the where's the risk behind that, or the intelligence behind that, to kind of pick something that hasn't moved yet, right? So I actually had this open debate in my community. I'm like, hey, my top three favorite stocks for 2026 are Micron, ASTS, and Webull, those three. And I said, you know what? Let me, at the very end, I'm like, I'm going to replace Micron with Bull, because no one expects Bull to do anything. So if it works out, I'll look smart. If Micron works out, it'll look like I'm a sheep, myself. But anyway, so I just changed it for the sake of your competition, honestly. So I went with and in fact, you could see it here. Well, Financial Spaces 2026 picks. There we go. I went with Bull and ASTS at the end, and
Yep.
I'm still in first place. Look at that. ASTS up 40%, average 19%. But in my community, though, and I've been saying on social media, despite this change I made for your competition, I've been consistently pounding the table that Micron's my number one pick of the year. It is my largest pick in my long-term account, my retirement account. And even at these levels, Micron, I still like it for a bigger move higher. So in a
Okay.
nutshell, those are the 2026 names.
All right. So we've got three stocks then I think mainly discuss here, your two picks plus Micron. Just go a little deeper for a second here. Can you talk about, the story trading method and how it applies to these, right? Kind of the four pillars.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you both. Actually, it looks like I was only sharing this tab, so you didn't see the or
Yeah,
did
we're
you? Yeah,
just
you did see.
seeing this first sheet. Yeah.
Oh, you're not seeing the Wolf tab. Okay, so but in any case, trust me on that. The Wolf tab, we have Bull and ASTS are the two picks eventually, officially that made into that. So in any case, I'll give you an example, like with both Mew and Weeble, but Mew. Okay, so Micron, obviously, you had the earnings, which was a blowout, right? So numerically, quantitatively, it was a blowout. Um, Now, I had done a lot of research proximal to that earnings report to understand why the multiple was so low on Micron. Okay. I probably spent a good 3 hours with the help of AI going through a competition, going through other AI infrastructure stocks, NVIDIA et al., and saying, hey, why is this Micron PE like 8 or something like that going into the report? And even
Right.
right after the report, I mean, it only moved up a little bit. It was like 9, right? Like, what the heck's going on here? And ultimately, I discovered that the market kind of penalizes it with a low multiple because the market thought that memory is something cyclical, the need for memory, which, ultimately I had decided, or based on the AI research, it seemed that that cyclicality really came from the history of memory chips being the cyclicality came from cycles with devices like iPhone releases or something, right? Or whenever there's a big new device, you need like more memory or whatever, build those devices. So it goes in cycles. And that's why you had this low PE because the earnings aren't necessarily sustainable. It's going to be lumpy, right? Um, but I've been pounding the table on this concept. Rhett can back me up on this. It was probably a year and a half ago. I left this long voice note in my Discord. I'm like, guys, I think Micron is the next Nvidia. And my reason always was, and it became much more acute before earnings. My reason always was that AI just uses a ton of memory, and to use it the right way to get the most out of it, it has to have access to a ton of memory. In a nutshell, that was my thesis way back a year and a half ago. But coming into the Micron earnings report, I usually don't take earnings bets, but in this case, I did. I bought Micron stock options coming into the report plus common shares, and the reason I did was because I thought we were acutely in a phase where the memory needs were exploding, just based on my just based on empirical evidence and the way that I personally use AI. And what I started noticing here in the quarter leading up to this last report is that the rapid iterations in all of these chatbots, especially when it came to a few things, when it came to photo and video generation, but also importantly, when it came to the personalization, I like ChatGPT the best, even after all the hype around Gemini. I've used all of them. I still like ChatGPT the best, and the thing I love about ChatGPT is it does a really good job of learning you and understanding you. And some people don't like that because it's like, hey, it's telling you what you want. It's like more of a personal assistant.
Hmm.
Um, I can go on about Gemini versus ChatGPT, but actually, for most cases, I use each one for different purposes. But ChatGPT, in order to have that intelligence of getting to know you and modifying its responses based on the history, it needs more and more memory to do that. And and the interesting thing is, if you think about it, NVIDIA processor versus I'll get to the final point about how this ties into 4 pillars of story trading in a second. But like an NVIDIA processor, once it processes, it can process again. But a memory chip, once the memory is stored, it can't be reused. you got to go to another chip to store the next piece of memory. Okay, and the rate at which that memory is growing, it's just, you could see it just by how you're using these apps yourself. And you create a tremendous amount of memory, whether it's like you're creating documents or photos or editing photos or videos. I mean, and that historical thread that's inside your conversation, it's all there. It doesn't disappear, and the chatbot needs instant access to all of it. And like you use it, and then you can't reuse it like you do an NVIDIA chip. Now you need the next chip, right? So that was my thesis for why I went long in MU. But this all comes back to that sentiment pillar of story trading, because the most powerful re-ratings for a stock are ones that flip sentiment. Okay. So if you have a bad sentiment, or if you have a sentiment that's causing an undervaluation, quote unquote, right? And you flip that sentiment, you basically kill the bear thesis by saying, hey, no, you were wrong about this sentiment. It's now been debunked. Those are the most powerful inflection points for a stock for rapid re-ratings. And what happened here, we talked about the cyclicality and the low PEs. Once you realize this new use case of memory, it's cumulative, right? You need more and more of it rather than pulsing through like device releases every year or two. That was a moment, that's the inflection moment where the sentiment changes and says, you know what? This is no longer cyclical. This thing's just going to exponentially explode over time with the use of AI. And now we have to assign a normal PE to Micron. Now it gets a 20 PE, not just an 8 PE or 9 PE. So that's why I made it my number one pick of the year with the $500 price target, and stupidly took it off the official competition with Wolf because I wanted to be cute with Webull. But you never know. Webull could work too. And if we have time, I'll talk about that. But we're running short on time, so I'll pause there.
Yeah, yeah, there's a great breakdown there. I actually am pretty curious on Webull, to be honest. I think people are looking at Robinhood and seeing if it could do something similar, which I don't know if it can to that, but we shall see. It's an interesting segment there with financials. Before we go deeper, Rhett, you want to speak to any of these different names? Kind of your thoughts on them?
Just MU. I mean, with memory, I mean, I use ChatGPT every day. I mean, sure, everyone else does. And the other thing to think about too is everyone's starting to implement AI into their everyday lives. So it's not just like certain individuals. I mean, it's at high school level all the way to like these people that are in their 70s and 80s that are still working, that are learning to start implement AI. So it's going to be those things of with Micron is the memory. I mean, there's only so much memory out there right now, and that's why we're seeing this huge bid up right now with Micron and SanDisk and all the other names as well.
Well, and let's talk about these names for a second. Maybe Ben, how you think about this, because people will look at some of these names and they've run so much already, right? SanDisk was up like 70% or something already this year at one point. And so it's just like hard for people to look at these and say there's an opportunity. It's up 79%, even being, flat the last couple of days. And in the past, since February of 2025, up 1,000+%. So it's just like, how do you even wrap your head around holding that long? Like when you put price targets on something.
See, that's where it pays to be a story trader and look at things from the four pillars. Okay, because if you're only a chartist and you only look at technicals, you just you can't understand or contemplate why it might keep going up. At some point, fundamentals comes into play. Like I said, you're going from you can't have Mu at an 8 PE and NVIDIA and everyone else at a 30 PE. Once you realize it's not cyclical. So at some point, the fundamentals become inflect to the point where it's so undervalued that the chart doesn't matter. I'm not even looking at it. When I gave that $500 price target, Rhett, in front of me, it had nothing to do with the chart. I'm like, it has to go there based on fundamentals. I don't care how it's going to go there. I don't know what the chart's going to look like, but I did say, Rhett and Gob, I'm like, MU, you want to have at the top of your list every day this year, even for intraday trading opportunities, because the dips are going to be bought all year long. So I didn't even look at the chart when I came up with that price target. It all had to do with a fundamental re-rating and inflection point. So sometimes you can get vertical up, in charts that make no sense because of fundamental re-ratings.
Right. Well, the MU chart's wild, right? That one's 311%, 52 weeks, 27.
I never looked into SanDisk or the other ones, so I can't speak individually with those names. But same idea.
But MU, you're looking at it and going, I don't care. It's up 300+% the past year. I have a $500 price target. It's only at 390. That's how you're looking, and just the rest of the case sits there.
Yeah.
And is there any?
But what's important though is that thesis a lot different than a fundamental investor who's like overvalued, undervalued. Yeah, like something can be undervalued forever or overvalued forever. So like the fundamental traders, they're not very good at what I do. The key is the inflection point in the sentiment. What caused that sentiment to change to say, okay, now we're going to give a PE of 20 versus 10? And that's what I was talking about when the market realized that this is no longer a cyclical business, right? So what that was what gave me the confidence more than just because anyone could have looked at MU for the last 10 years and say, oh, this
Right.
is so cheap. Why is it so cheap? It has eight. But when did it start moving? When there was that aha moment this last quarter when analysts finally understood the use case here and it's no longer cyclical and it's just cumulative. That aha moment was the catalyst, that inflection point that's now causing this re-rating towards the 20 PE. So yeah, I identified that moment. I believe it's moving towards a 20 PE. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think that was around 500. So that's my target for now, and it may go higher after the next earnings report. We'll see.
Nice, nice. And yeah, I mean that stock sat there and did nothing for 25 years.
Yeah.
It basically pulled a MicroStrategy, right? But very different reasons why those ended up popping.
Yeah, Microsoft also did nothing for 25 years, where it was before it exploded.
I
That's
think it
crazy.
had like a decade or something when Steve Ballmer was the CEO of Microsoft. Yeah, that it didn't do a whole lot during that time period. But yeah, oh, I see what you're saying. It was even longer than that, all the way to like 2017. Didn't do a whole lot, and then now it's just like really gone up from there. Do you think that the returns that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years can possibly be replicated or beat in the next 10, 15 years?
I don't know. That's a tough question to ask. Honestly, I don't make long-term macro forecasts. I really take it day by day when it comes to macro. Like I have no idea where, it's just a cumulative impact of day by day catalysts determines where we are 10 years from now. That's how I look at it. I'm sure there are people much smarter than me that look at the macro and say, hey, inflation, XYZ, asset prices have to go up, and they'll have a 5, 10 year forecast. I don't do that. I
Yeah.
wake up every day with an open mind. I look at the catalyst and say, this is the impact that this catalyst is going to have on the stock. And if you have a series of positive catalysts over time, then yeah, you might get that over 10, 15 years. But I have no idea what those upcoming catalysts are going to be. Just have to witness it in
Cool.
real time and decide after those catalysts come in. That's how I look at the market.
Got it. All right, very hot topic right now. I just want to see if you had any thoughts on is gold, silver, copper,
Oh my God.
all these
Oh
things.
my
It's
God.
talk of the
Mm,
town all over the
mhm.
timeline. Silver is having its like it was on pace for its best day in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
long time. SLV currently on the day is up about wow, it retraced the whole move. So SLV was up 14%. It is up 1% on the day right
Yeah.
now.
It,
Uh, yeah, what do you think? Are we getting
I
close
mean,
to the top?
it, I mean, the daily candle looks like it might be a top on silver, but a lot of people have been trying to call the top on silver, and if they've been shorting it, they've been killed. But I mean, this is one where I unfortunately I missed this because there have been so many false alarms with silver. I'm a lot older than I look. Gov. Back when I was like 18 years old in college, which was I don't know, like 30 years ago. Okay, back then people were talking about silver and all the exact same thing that caused this breakout, that JP Morgan's artificially holding it down, the physical demand is so high, there's so much manipulate, all that stuff that everyone's been talking about. They've been talking about that for 30 years. And I can't tell you how many times I tried to play the silver breakout 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and it never happened. So finally, I'm like, I heard the same old recycled thesis come out again. And I'm like, nah, false alarm. It's not going to happen. I've been through this. And finally, they were right. It just took like 30 years. So, yeah, that would have been fun. I wish I was a little bit younger because then, instead of being my sixth time on this silver thesis, it would have been my second or third, and then maybe I would have played it. So I can't believe they were actually right. And what? They were artificially holding the price down, JP Morgan was, until they flipped and they went from short to long. Is that what happened? I don't know. But it's just a crazy story that happened this year. And really unbelievable. I can't, who knows where the top
So
is? It looks like today might be, but I have no idea.
look at the volume today compared to the
Yeah.
past, though. Like something happened.
I tried buying puts on it today, but they're so expensive, man. Did you look at the puts?
I did not. I'm not trying to
I
short it.
sure did. I'm actually gonna be looking to play this with a DSL. So that's a short. It's a levered
One time, two
DSL.
times SLV?
I
Yeah, I
believe.
didn't think about an ETF. You saw
DSL?
those?
Yeah, I believe it's DSL. I was looking at it. when researching. Hold on, let me try to pull it up.
I'm sure there is a short silver ETF, but
Yeah, it's the inverse of SLV. Hold on, I may have the tickers wrong. I got to go back and try to find
yeah, I
it.
was looking
I
at
have it
like
written down
SLV.
somewhere.
I was looking at SLV put options for the end of this week that were like $5 out of the money, and the premium, and it cost like $6-7. So like you have to get like a $10 drop just to break even. It was like insane. One thing was 105.
This is
ZS,
Oh, is it 93 now? I could maybe I should have thought.
ZFL. Here we go.
Oh no, it was 98. Sorry, it was 98 when I was looking at it.
yeah, a lot of volume on this that has just started coming in the last like month and a half.
Yep.
What is it? What's that ticker?
This is
Z.
ZSL.
ZSL?
Yep.
This is a
Three times?
ultra short. So this is a 2x leverage short or 3x?
I believe this one's 2x.
Hold on to the.
Look at that. After hours down another 5%.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
I mean, yeah, it looked like a good short. I wish I thought about the ETF, right? I was just looking at the
So that's something. I feel like we're started getting into like this euphoric state, especially with silver. And I mean,
Yeah.
there's cues, especially you can pick up when people. I mean, you saw the whole thing with. I think it was like NFTs when you have random family members coming up and asking you about certain things, and you can just get cues and hints of when tops may be in short term. And I feel like we may be getting into this point for silver.
I think silver, I would agree. I think copper, there's opportunity. Now, I didn't love the candle on the copper miners today, but for me, copper is actually going to have a real necessity from the AI boom. Like every data center is going to need massive amounts of copper, right? Every electric car takes 4 times as much copper as a non-electric car. And so you're just we move towards that area. And copper is going to hit peak production within the next 3 years, and then it's going to go down. So I think that there's an opportunity there, but yeah, I agree with you. Silver, there's not I think that's more just a little bit of bubble stage, and then gold is a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
We've been we actually sent out an official alert back in July of 24, I believe. It was around 220. We said add on all time frames. And I wish I would have listened then. I chased a little bit. I had on short on gold. Yeah, we alerted the community. Ended up chasing. I think it was in the 300s that I added, but I actually unloaded a little while ago. So currently no position in gold for me.
Yeah, I kept some gold in my long-term account, but it was always small. It's probably like a 1 or 2% position, like up 100% from 1% to 2%. I probably sold on the way up some, but I never took a big trade on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I made it wasn't terrible timing. Back in December, I put 5% of my portfolio into gold.
Nice.
It's up like 40%, 35%, something like that. So I'll take it.
That's great.
The only problem was I also put money into Bitcoin.
Oh man,
that was the only problem.
Yeah,
Bit of an offsetting
that
trade,
happens.
unfortunately. It's actually shocking. Like since like Bitcoin highs, Bitcoin versus gold is almost exactly as much down as gold is up.
Oh my gosh. Well, that tells you maybe rotation there.
Bit of rotation for sure. And we're gonna do maybe like 10-ish more minutes. Do you want to talk a little bit about story trading here? For those that want to learn more about everything you're covering?
Sure. I mean, about our services and stuff.
Yeah, just like what people could check out if they want to listen to more of your insights.
Yeah, sure. Man, we create a lot of content. It's crazy. Not only me, but the other analysts, which I'll talk about in a second. But I mean, my pride and joy, the star of everything for me is something we call the morning note. It's a newsletter I put out every morning before 7 a.m. I've been trying to do it at 5:30 a.m. recently. I hope to get back to that routine, but I was just on a little bit of vacation here, so it was a little bit different. But yeah, there's this newsletter that I write every night. I start writing it, and I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I finish about 5:30, and keeps track of my portfolio, performance prior day, top picks for the day, macro analysis, which I love. It's beautiful, the macro discussion, because it really has, it takes that story trading idea about making sense out of markets, right? There's a story behind the trade. So I explain kind of what happened yesterday or last week with macro and what could happen going forward today or this week. And then I have a section called Trump World, which,
Yeah.
you know, I have like a catalyst section, but because Trump is his own like super catalyst, I have to separate it out. So it's called Trump World. So we have all the policy things that it's talking about that could impact sectors or specific stocks. And then we have a section, catalyst section, which has the earnings for the week, the economics calendar for the week, and also stock specific catalysts, which just happened the day prior or the night prior or early in the morning. I have that in there. And then we have our top trade ideas for the day. And then we follow that up with a live show at 9 a.m. Roughly,
Nice.
where we will maybe make changes to that, right? So that's an initial list of top trades for the day, but then you have hours of catalysts after that. That comes out 5:30 in the morning. So you have like, what is that? 4 hours of catalysts in between publication time, and also 4 hours of price action, right? So we'll take that list and I'll talk about it with Rhett. Rhett joins me in the live stream, and we'll make modifications to that, and we'll come up with our top trade ideas for the day, and then we'll continue live trading for a bit, and then we have the chat rooms, which Discords have, and we'll be on there all day. And all of that is on top of the other analysts in our community, which it's really a collaborative process. So it's not like, you know, I haven't really looked deeply into other Discords too much, but you know, for us, I try to get everyone on the same page in terms of the story trading process. So for me, it's all about collaboration. So I have like Laptop Travel, who's our fundamental analyst. So, you know, I try to collaborate with him because I'm, like I said, I'm looking at the catalyst, sentiment, and technical. So I'll defer to him when it's like, hey, here's a new catalyst, here's the earnings report, here's a deal. You know, tell us what you think about the fundamentals. Is it overvalued or undervalued, etc. So that's a piece of information I need to help with the other pillars. So I'll collaborate with him. He does have his own channel, but it's mostly everything happens in that main one channel where we're all talking to each other. And we have a technical trader in there. I think you may know Gov, Dougie Fresh Picks,
Mhm.
who's that, you know, that 1 p.m. show on Monday is a small cap show, which I took over from you, but I think we met in there actually.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so he joined our Discord. So we'll defer to him on technicals as well as Rhett, who's good on technicals, and then we have Laptop Travel, who is, wow, he's something, man. He has more experience than all of us put together. Laptop Travel, I think, is probably like a fundamental analyst at heart, but has recently become like this 4 a.m. penny stock trader, which is crazy. I mean, the 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. session, the overnight market is insane. I don't do it. I don't. Most of my money's at Fidelity, not at Webull, so I don't even have access to overnight. So like, he's killing it with people who follow him with those opportunities and those micro caps early in the morning. So, but then we also collaborate. I collaborate with them in the main chat room. Really, it's just, I just love it. We love it because it's all about, everything's about understanding. It's like why, right? We want to understand what happened and what might happen in the near future, based again on fundamentals, catalyst, market psychology, all of that sentiment. And so we have this common goal of trying to understand markets. And when we do it all together, it becomes really, really powerful because, you know, then it gives you conviction as well. You're not just like trading numbers on a screen and then you don't know why something's happening and then it gets stopped out and then it explodes. And, you know, I don't like that kind of stuff. But, right, want to add on anything to that?
Yeah, definitely. In the very beginning, when you said the fundamental analyst, you said Laptop Travel, but it's actually the Godfather Knows, S Mantle on X. So I just want
Sorry,
to.
I messed it up.
No,
I was
it's
talking
all
about
good. I just
Godfather
want to
Knows.
clarify that there. But yeah,
I
definitely.
mentioned Laptop Travel twice. Yeah, Godfather
But
Knows
the
and
other
Laptop
thing
Travel.
too that I think we want to mention as well is the risk management part. We don't want. There's a lot of communities out there that are like YOLOing their entire accounts. Like we're
Right.
huge on risk management. Like we have a channel that has like the risk management rules and all that. But Ben shows the allocations each day in the morning note. So like you can see exactly. I mean, we're transparent with it, what we are doing day in and day out. But also, a key thing is just the risk management. I feel like is huge because there's been a few things that me and Ben have spoke with behind the scenes. Like when I was trading, I used to run with a stop loss. He's like, why don't you just use, instead of a stop loss, that money that you would normally have a stop loss, $10,000 trade, 20% stop loss. Why not just let the $2,000 trade with that? And my returns and my execution throughout the day just skyrocketed. So it's just a
Mm.
few things like that that we've tweaked along the way.
I hate stop losses with a passion. Hate them.
So yeah, there's stuff like that we talk about in the community. I feel like people benefit significantly from, and just keeping each other in check for the most part.
Very
Look,
cool stuff.
I'm glad Let me just add to that, Gav. I'm glad Rhett brought up the risk management because I've made millions of dollars in the stock market and I lost it all, and I've made millions again. This time I'm not going to lose it, right? So I went through all those lessons. I went through everything anyone could ever go through. And I have a blog, an aftermarket blog, where I shared lessons of adversity, and I go through everything completely transparent. You're always going to make mistakes, always,
Right.
right? So it's a matter of minimizing those mistakes and catching them as quickly as you can to nip it in the bud. So I have this blog where I talk about the adversity and struggles as we go through them with the year, and say, hey, I screwed up, I got emotional, I went overweight, and I recognize it. So I'm going to nip it in the bud right now. I'm selling everything or bringing it down to proper allocation, and we're going to reset tomorrow. So I go through this whole process completely transparently with everyone because I know everyone's going through the same exact thing as me. Like very, very tiny percentage of people can actually stick to the rules consistently. So we're always slipping, and we always have to catch it and help each other catch it and get back on track. So that's part of what we do in our community as well.
Very cool stuff. Appreciate the breakdown. I think that's super helpful for anybody that is looking to potentially join and just kind of hear a little bit more about what it does. To wrap up here, any just general advice that you would give to the retail trader and investor as they approach 2026? It's a unique year, in my opinion. You've got a changing of the Fed chairman, you've got midterms, you got a few other things that are happening. So, what would you just say, kind of like final message to the investor as they go throughout
You
this
know
year?
what? If I had to give one piece of advice to investors and traders, it's to make sure to pay yourself throughout the year. Like when you have wins, all right. At some point I was going through a period where I came up with a rule that every single day I'd withdraw 50% of my profits and put in a cash account. And I don't always stick to that rule anymore. But what I do instead is as soon as I slip, as soon as I have a red day, I'll take like 50% of everything I won over the past week or two, and I'll take it out, move it into a separate account. And to me, I think this is the greatest shortcut to risk management is to do that. I don't think we have time to go through the psychology of why it works, but I think it does absolute wonders for your trading psychology when you're constantly taking money out. And I just find that that's the number one thing that improved my performance. And I think it could help everybody by doing that. And again, maybe we'll talk about the psychology behind it, or just ask ChatGPT why it works. It'll give you
Yeah.
some reasons why that's a very good thing to do. That's my one piece of general advice for everyone.
It's like when I'm at the craps table, go up a couple hundred, take my original chips, put them in the other
There you
slot.
go.
Yeah,
Not,
there you go.
not touching those chips.
There you go. That's what you got to
Very
do.
nice. Rhett, how about you?
Yeah, so mine would be separating your accounts. So I have a day trading account, and then I have a long-term / retirement account. So I have those two separated. I separated them a little while back now, but I just feel like coming into the day, with my day trading account, I try to be 100% cash by the end of the day. So I'm coming into each day fresh. Like I'm not going to be trying to dig myself out of a hole. Like in my day trading account today, I had to dig myself out of a hole because of Generac calls. So it's just stuff like that you don't really think about too much, but it's really significantly helped me with my day trading account and with my long-term account. I think both of them have benefited significantly from that, just separating the two. So just keep that in your minds and thoughts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Awesome. Good
I've
stuff.
got them separated as well. Absolutely. Really good advice, gentlemen. Thank you for the insights, going over your topics from last year, this year. Excited for the space coming up in just a few for stock picks of the week for those that are going to be tuning in, and many more to come throughout this year. Appreciate you both. Looking forward to
Sounds
the
good.
next one.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Anytime.